The silent killer, I'm told, is what I had. And what that means is that it shows no classic symptoms of a heart attack. And people, if they go to sleep, they just simply never wake up. The classic symptoms, of course, are pain, pain in your arms, the pain in your heart, and I didn't have that.
A silent heart attack is a combination of things. At one end, it can be a person having a heart attack who doesn't feel any symptoms at all.
I woke up in the middle of the night feeling that I had indigestion. I was feeling worse, so I decided that I would check my pulse. And it was so high I couldn't count it. And it was very high, but also there was intermittently it became faster. And so I woke up my wife and I said, I think there's something wrong here. We should, can you drive me to the hospital? And she did. And at the hospital I was brought in and I told them the symptoms. I was hooked up to an ECG and I'm laying there. They said it's not a very good sign what you have, and they told me that they were getting the cardiologists and the team in surgery ready. You know, I didn't realize how precarious this situation was until you're in the middle of all of this. I'm sitting in the emergency ward at Vancouver General and I'm having a massive heart attack right there.
You can actually also have a silent heart attack where you're feeling symptoms, but you're not recognizing those symptoms as being a heart attack. It can be things like indigestion, feelings of uneasiness, a bit of sweating. You know, it can range from a variety of different symptoms that people feel. Often the symptoms are not exactly experienced the same way for women as they are for men. So it can be sometimes attributed by the women themselves and also by the caregivers as some kind of like anxiety or something that it just doesn't get diagnosed as often. There are circumstances where people feel no symptoms at all, and it's particularly insidious, you know, a problem when a person has diabetes, because diabetes exerts a different influence on the nerves in the body, and so sometimes you don't normally feel the classic symptom, which is chest pain, and because diabetes blunts that chest pain. It's really about lifestyle and, you know, family history. So if you have a family history of heart disease and diabetes, other chronic conditions, that will naturally predispose you to heart problems, including stroke. There are factors in a person's lifestyle that increase the switching on, if you will, of the risk for these problems. That includes not exercising, you know, having a higher body mass, you know, smoking tobacco, eating really fatty foods. All those things are factors that contribute to increasing the risk. And each factor has its own effect, but combined together, these what we call modifiable factors, the sum is greater than the parts. And so the good news about that is that if you can reduce a risk factor for heart disease or stroke, then you know, you have a chance of avoiding these problems. I think it's really important to get your health checks on a regular basis. So for example, a person could imagine, you know, getting their health profile done, and that could be like a picture of your health at that point in time. But you know, what we really want is the video. You want to actually have regular checks done at intervals, 6 months, every year.
Yeah, I'm one of those people, you know, I hate seeing doctors, period. But you know, they monitor your health, they do the necessary testing that's required, and they give you advice, and they support that if needed with medication that might bring your blood pressure down, medication that might deal with your cholesterol levels. The thing is that there are many risk factors for a healthy heart. And I think it's really paying attention to them and taking the time to do these. But if you're not close to medical facility or centers or doctors, it's more problematic. So you need to be more engaged earlier and continuously. The biggest challenge is, you know, there's an attitude out there towards many of our people that's so prevalent that they do not feel that they receive the service that they should receive because of where they come from. It's unfortunate, but I've heard it so often. But I think once you get past that front door and into the doctors, into the medical profession, it's, you know, you're a step better.
I think it's really important to establish a relationship with a healthcare provider, and I think the First Nations Health Authority can help in that navigation of patient care so that you can find a provider that can provide you with a culturally safe environment when you go there.
I'm grateful for the professionalism of our very skilled experienced surgeons that we have in British Columbia, but also those who help you prevent you from getting there or supporting you in your recovery. People will give you a lot of advice and act on the advice that you receive.
I think traditionally First Nations people were extremely healthy. I think it's really important for people to think about reclaiming traditional ways of knowing around a healthy lifestyle. And that would be being physically active, eating nutritious foods, trying to think of that as being part of a First Nations identity. There's a certain amount of personal responsibility that goes along with that. I guess it's really about if you want to be there for your family and your children, your grandchildren, even your great-grandchildren, it's really about thinking about how you can optimize your health so that you can be there for them and you can enjoy watching them grow and develop.
Well, it's your life's in your hands and you make choices. Every day is a blessing for me, you know, so the biggest thing that individuals should do is make sure that they're checked. Don't leave it to another day.